This is part 2 of a little series, my audiobook obsession series, if you will. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy. I hope you're all doing really well. This video is going to talk about books that have really excellent audiobook performances. I'm really excited to talk about some of these. It's a mix of fiction and nonfiction. These audiobooks are in no particular order. I just love them all the same, but in different ways. They're all excellent options for you to give a listen to. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the nonfiction books that I think have superior reading experiences when you're listening to the audiobooks. The first book I want to talk about is Educated by Tara Westbrook. And this is a memoir following her throughout her life. And you get a lot of information about her childhood, her upbringing, her family, and kind of their really unique life. You get to spend a lot of time getting to know the different people in her family. And it was a really compelling and at times horrifying book to read, but she does such a great job highlighting the complexity that is human relationship, the good, the bad, the ugly, the confusing, all of those parts that go into family relationships. The book in and of itself is fascinating, and the audiobook performance is done by Julia Whelan, and Julia Whelan can do no wrong. I think if she narrated every single book I listened to, I would be a happy lady. I loved her. I thought she was such a good audiobook narrator and really did the story justice. Another nonfiction memoir that I think the audiobook honestly is just sheer perfection is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. He narrates his own story. It is so good. I mean, his writing is so good. I mean, if you've seen him on his show, it feels similar. Having him tell his own story, you can hear the emotion, you can hear his humor and the way he can time the jokes. And I just feel like it made it a really personal reading or listening experience. And I thought it was so well done. It was probably the first memoir that I had ever listened to. And wow, it really set a high bar for audiobooks for nonfiction in particular. My final nonfiction fave is How the Word is Passed by Clint Smith. And first of all, I'm just obsessed with Clint Smith in general. I follow him on Instagram. I've attended some of his virtual talks, and he's such a good storyteller. And I think he has a background in poetry or slam poetry. And you can hear that in his cadence and how he tells stories and how he emotes and expresses himself. Having him narrating his own words made the reading experience even more powerful. How the Word is Passed is a book that takes you on a journey visiting different iconic landmarks and monuments that are connected to slavery in this country and sort of the history of that. Each landmark kind of gets its own chapter, and he shares a lot of the history, but also shares a lot of the more personal stories connected with it. And it is so good. I've read the book physically and I've listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook is just so engaging. And again, because it's him reading his own words, it's almost like you can feel the book come to life. I really thought it was a really immersive audiobook experience. So it's just like one of my favorite books that I read last year, and the audiobook in particular is perfection to me. All right, and now on to my favorite fiction audiobooks. I honestly feel like I could gush about many books, but these are some of the stories that I think the audiobook creates a better reading experience. The first book I want to mention is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is a book that follows a fictional band that I think is inspired by Stevie Nicks or Fleetwood Mac. And this story is written in interview format. I think listening to the book, first of all, it has an entire cast of actors. And so every character, every POV has a different voice actor. I really think it brings this story to life. I almost felt like I was listening to one of the HBO specials, like Behind the Bands. It really made it feel kind of addicting and realistic. It's the only audiobook that I wish my dad would listen to. He doesn't read a ton of fiction, and he certainly doesn't listen to any audiobooks, but if I could convince him to listen to any audiobooks, I feel like he would really enjoy this one. It's so good. I can't recommend it enough. The next book or book series that I want to name is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. And like I said in my first video about audiobook narrators, Davina Porter is perfect to me. She does such a good job of creating a tone and a warmth to the series when some dark stuff happens, but she just really made me feel deeply connected to every character. Her distinct character voices, her accents really brings the words on the page to life. And I think if you're going to read Outlander, those books are so long, they're so chunky that I think the audiobook makes it a little less intimidating. I think I would listen to her for forever. So I think Outlander as a series, Davina Porter as the voice actor, it is a match made in heaven. I loved it so much. The final fiction book I want to name in this list is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. This story in and of itself is a really deeply moving story where I cried several times, and I just think listening to it brought me even more intimately into the story, where I really felt things, I think, so much more deeply that I could also hear it. And I think it helped me visualize a lot of the stories and scenes, and I just think it is a stellar audiobook. The listening experience really elevated that for me. The audiobook narrator is Dominic Hoffman, and they do a superb job. I can't recommend it enough. So good. All right, so those are some of my favorite audiobooks. If you've not read any of these, I say go for it. Listen to the audiobook over the physical book, or do the pairing where you listen to it as you physically follow along. Either way, you can't go wrong with these audiobooks. They are so good. They're so immersive. They're so dynamic. I'm obsessed with each and every one of them. Please go out and listen to an audiobook. Join the audiobook obsession with me. That's all I got for you today. I hope you had fun. If you made it to the end of this video, leave the headphone emoji. I think that's a thing. Please feel free to put some of your favorite audiobooks that maybe I didn't include on this list. I'm so curious. I love audiobooks. I almost exclusively listen to audiobooks, so I love a recommendation. Anyways, that's all I have. I will see you all in the next one. Bye.